Hey guys, thank you for stopping by to learn more about Nikon Z6 II. Now today we're going to talk about how autofocus in Nikon Z6 II works. Coming up next. Now, for those who recently acquired Nikon Z6 II, or maybe you're wondering about, is this camera any good with autofocus? I know, there's so many other cameras on the market right there. There is a Canon, there is a Fuji, there is a Sony, obviously, and which has an amazing autofocus. And so many people have been doubting whether Nikon Z series have a great or good autofocus enough. Now, let me share with you, I'm coming from the background where I mainly shoot portraits, weddings, those kind of things. I don't get involved so much into sports or maybe wildlife. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys how Nikon Z6 II works from the standpoint of autofocus. Now, let me start with you. I have, as you can see, attached my gigantic external monitor, if you put it that way, to my Nikon Z6 II. And I have my model in front of me, which is actually right next to the camera that I'm recording with right now. And you can see her on the screen. Now, I have attached an f-mount 85mm 1.8 G lens today with an FTZ adapter. And I know many of you guys are switching or considering to switch from DSLR to mirrorless, and the FTZ adapter is a great way to start with. Now, I'm going to do two tests, one of them with the f-mount lens and as well as with a Z lens, which I have right here, and this is a 50mm 1.8 S lens. By the way, if you're interested to see how this lens operates and want to know more about this, I'm going to link up here in the description above, in the card above me, if you want to check out that video as well. So, now, if you guys want to know about my interesting contraption here, so what I have here is, what I used is my son's electric skateboard, and then I used my wife's microphone stand, and I used my daughter's mannequin hat that she uses to practice on different hairstyles. So I'll kind of utilize this very sophisticated way to do this, and I attach my microphone stand to the electric skateboard with a duct tape. Very sophisticated, creative way to do this. So why don't we get started on this one? So one of the questions that I've been asked before is, how come when I have Nikon Z6 II in photo mode, which is actually you can see right now. By the way, you can see all this information on the screen. By the way, it's only available on a photo mode. Once I switch to a video mode, it's no longer available. I'm not sure why Nikon did this. It basically becomes very clean HDMI out. But let me start with the photo mode first. So what you want to do, obviously, is you can see how IAF works on Nikon Z6 II. So what I have right now is I'm going to utilize this little remote control to control my skateboard that has this mannequin head attached to it. So this is my model as best as I can get right now. So as you can see, the IAF is on, and the way the way you set this up, you click on the I menu and you go to this highlighted yellow box. You click on that, and you will see that it gives you different types of autofocusing modes. So the one that I'm going to talk about today is this auto area AF, because a lot of people are interested in photographing actual people. Obviously there are landscape photographers as well, but we're going to talk today about specifically how to use auto area AF for people. I click OK. So now we're set to that, and also as far as the focus mode, I have it set to continuous AF. So this way it will allow me to continuously focus on my model when I'm using this camera. And for me to do that, I basically exit this menu, and as you can see, the yellow box actually right now is highlighting the mannequin's eye. If I keep my AF on all the time and I start controlling, basically get closer, it continuously keeps the track. Now if I try to go back, let's say the person is walking away from me, as you can see, it tracks as well. Let me do it one more time. Coming now closer toward me. When the subject is further away, as you can see, it highlights with just a large yellow box showing that there is a person behind, or there's a face was detected. Now as it's getting closer, you will see that it will, at some point, it will switch to a small box and it will focus on an eye, as you can see. And the nice thing about this mirrorless camera, specifically the Z6 II, it can basically keep focus on the person or the eye from corner to corner. As you can see, now I'm going toward the center of the screen, and now I'm going to switch and I'm going to come a little closer toward me. As you can see, I'm getting closer to the corner of the screen. And keep in mind, this is working right now with an FTZ adapter and an f-mount lens, 85mm 1.8G. And by the way, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, I'm recording with f1.8. So this is the sharpest depth of field that you can possibly get. So if I were to, let's say, try to go back right now, it picks up an eye. Now as you see, if I don't keep my finger, my thumb on AF on, it's not focusing. Now it's a little bit different in the video menu, because in the video menu it continuously does that. But as soon as I press AF on, it focuses, and if I keep it on and let's say a person is walking away from me, or maybe I'm moving, it constantly keeps a track of it. So let's see if I want to take a picture. Here we go. So, and you can see on the screen right now, shows a picture. It's a perfectly sharp image. So this is how it works on the photo mode or stills mode with an f-mount lens. Now let's switch to a video mode. Now the interesting part here is I don't actually have to keep my thumb on the AF on, because what I've done, if I click on my eye menu and I go to the, no, you can't see on the screen, I go to AF, I switch to AFF, which is a full-time autofocus. Now once I have this engaged and I want to pretty much focus right now on the screen, again I can see that a little yellow box, but let's say if I want to get my subject a little further away from me, you can actually hear, because the G lenses have a mechanical motor, you can actually hear how camera constantly focusing on the subject. So let me bring her a little closer toward me. As you can see, it keeps a track of an eye from corner of the screen to corner of the screen. That's the amazing part about it, that a lot of people wondered, how does it work when video? It works amazingly in video. And keep in mind, I'm actually in my studio right now, where the light is very low as far as the quality of light. You can see all my shades right now drawn close here. So let's bring her back in here, and let's do one more test. Kind of going away from me, okay? Away from the subject. And it constantly focuses. So this is how it works with an f-mount lens on Nikon Z6 II. Now the next one, let's switch to actually the Z lens, which is a 50mm 1.8, and I'm gonna showcase how it works on the with a native mount lens. So guys, now we're back with the actual native lens, which is a Z lens to the Z camera. And as you can see, the field of view is a little bit different, because now previously I was using the 85mm 1.8, and now I'm using a 50mm 1.8 lens. So as you can see, I haven't done anything with my settings for the most part. Everything is stayed the same. And now let's take a look at, we're back in the, now, right now we're back into the photo mode one more time, and let's take a look at how camera focuses on as an auto area AF for people. So let's get my subject further away from me right now. So one thing I find that the Z lenses, they tend to focus in low light a little bit better. Now what you can see is that the focus actually disappears, is because I don't have my AF on button engaged. Once I click on it, it really finds the face automatically right away. Now let me bring it closer to me. Now if I keep my AF on engaged at all times, you can start seeing that you're going to switch to an IAF right in a second here. There we go. So you can see how really amazingly it works in a photo mode. Really have no problems, especially once you're in outside daylight. It works just like a charm. Okay, and let's bring her back again. What you can see here, you can actually hear maybe in the background, that's the noise of the electric skateboard motors as it's getting engaged. Okay, so now you guys saw how it works with the zoom out lenses. Now let me switch to a video mode, and let's take a look at basically how it works. So again, nothing has changed. The auto area AF is still on. As far as the full-time AF as well is on. So these two functions are very critical to this test. And let's see which way she's going to come right now. Okay, I'm coming closer. And you can see how it's really tracking from a side of the screen to a side of the screen. Let's bring her back further away from me. And you can see it's nicely tracking. Now, because it's further away, it's basically a loss in eye. And I know that Canon R5 and R6 are much better to pick up a human eye further away. But again, for purposes that we have here right now, it really works amazingly on the Z camera. So as you can see, guys, it's really focusing very closely. Right now, I'm probably my camera with the lens maybe about 2.5 feet away, and it keeps a perfect focus on the eye. And as let's say a person is walking away from me, for a moment it looks like it lost focus, but then it acquired back again. Now obviously we're looking kind of an environment that's maybe not so fast right now, so let's see if there's an actual person. So I'm going to go behind the camera right now, or in front of the camera, in front of this one. You're going to be able to see me on the screen. And once the person moves, let's see how it responds. So as you can see, guys, right now the person in front of it, and let's see what happens once the person steps away from the camera. It takes a little while to focus, I agree, but as the person is coming toward the camera, as you can see, that's perfectly tracking my eye. I can see actually myself on the side of the screen here, but as you're looking at me right now, guys, it perfectly tracks the person's eye. Right now, it's most likely tracking only my head because it detected a face, but if I get closer, and I know my face probably is a little bit blown out here because of the light next to me, but I'm stepping back here this way again. And let's say I am stepping away from the screen. It focuses on what's in front of it. And let's get back in here again. And it perfectly focused on me, guys. So as you can see, the autofocus has so much improved on Nikon cameras, and specifically with this Z mirrorless series. I absolutely love it. For what I do, a lot of talking headshots. This is what I record, sometimes, walking person. And again, keep in mind, I am in the studio right now in a very low light environment. And if I get closer, it keeps my eye perfectly in focus. And if I get back a little bit too, it keeps me perfectly in focus as well. And if I want to step away, it changes and it focuses on a background. And let me get back again here. Takes a little moment to acquire the focus. There we go. So in this example, guys, we're going to demonstrate how a wide area AF for people actually works. So as you can see right now, the mannequin is kind of behind the camera right now. And as the person or mannequin is getting closer, as basically the face is getting closer, you can start seeing that the camera picks up that there's a face behind it and starts tracking it right away. As soon as the face leaves that red box, the tracking disappears. Now the amazing thing about this specific function is that, can you imagine if you were at a wedding and you have literally hundreds of people and all you want to focus really on the bride and groom? The camera is only going to focus on where you're pointing the camera specifically. So if you're pointing in the middle of the screen, if you're pointing at the bride and the groom and you have this red box around their faces, it's only going to keep a track on their faces. it's going to disregard all other faces that may be on the outside of that red box. So this is an amazing function and is very, very useful for wedding photographers. Certainly you can use your joystick, and you can use your simple mode as well. Let me demonstrate that. I know many photographers are used to single point AF. Great function, works perfectly, but the kind of camera at this point allows you to focus more on the composition, where the bride and groom is, and really pick this other function, the wide area AF for people, and use that. Now, why is it called wide area AF for people? I don't really know, because to me it feels like it's not very intuitive. I wish Nikon would have called maybe a narrow area AF, because this is what you try to focus, but maybe they intended to say it's kind of wide area that it's not focusing. So I'm not sure what was the thinking behind giving a naming convention to this function specifically, but it's basically called wide area AF. And I see with so many different firmware updates that Nikon Z6 will release at some point, I can foresee different changes maybe to a naming convention, or maybe even adding additional focusing mode on the camera. So that's another function of Nikon Z6 II AF. So that's kind of the test with the AF mode for Nikon Z6 II. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer. I know this is a new channel to many of you guys, and I'll appreciate if you subscribe. Apparently it helps somehow as far as the algorithm goes, and hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in another video.